Hi, it's Kamon Reynolds, and we're nearing the end of our honey flow, but there's still some opportunities here. So as you can see behind me, I have a lot of double deep colonies, a few that are in single brood chambers, but some of them with 3 deep boxes on them. I want to explain in this video why we do that and how we do that, what you can do to get yourself some more drawn combs, because new beekeepers, you have a few things going against you, and one of them is not having enough drawn combs. This makes your splits grow faster, it keeps swarming down a little bit, and also, can you just have too many bees? No, the answer is no, you cannot. So I also want to say real quick before we start, happy birthday to Laurel. Today is Laurel's birthday, and so all hail the queen. So yes, you know what I'm doing later tonight, taking her out to a fancy dinner, saying thank you for all the help that you've been, and you know, walking around like this a little bit. So I've got a double deep colony here. Actually, I've got about 50 double deep colonies that are young colonies with this year's queens. They're building up fast. They've been going through the flow and just growing. Look at all these bees right here, and they're not completely packed, but this one's actually a little bit more packed than I'd like it to be. And so, should we add another box? Well, the answer is absolutely yes. And there's a lot of variables with your flow. So if you have a lot of honey flow ahead, then definitely. But even if you have just a little bit like I do, then you still need to. So I have about 2 weeks of flow left, and not even my strongest part of the flow. That means nectar's coming in. When nectar's coming in and there's a strong population, they want to draw new combs out. But also, I'm not taking any honey from these colonies. They were made during the flow, so they're not strong enough to bring in a crop. If I wanted to make big honey off of these colonies, I should have had them looking like this at the end of March. So they would have been this strong the whole season, then I could have made 100 pounds of honey in a good year off of them. But we still want to be able to do the best that we can with these bees. So do we split them? What do? We could split them, but I'm going to do that later. First of all, I'm going to focus them on getting me some more drawn combs. Let's get into this hive. As you can see, I've been going through this yard. I actually didn't put this one back together because I just thought, you know, we need to do a video on this hive. So you can see there's a little bit of capped honey towards the top. We have some capped brood towards the bottom. And we have larvae all down in here. I got some eggs, several different things. We don't want this colony to get plugged out, and they're not quite plugged out, but they're not far away from it. One really good day of nectar or pollen could really fill this up. This colony's too close to swarming for comfort, so we'll need to keep an eye on this one. You're like, Kamon, how do you know that? Well, I've seen this enough. They're not actually building any swarm cells. What I did to check that is I pulled a couple of these middle frames out, and then I also lift these boxes, these second deeps. There's a good bit of weight in there. And I'll smoke them, pull this back a little bit. And so we're looking up underneath, and this is good. Wow, that's some capped brood down in there. That's awesome. I can just see it, nice patterns down in there. So you can read these kind of like a book, and you can just pull them apart and go, okay, swarm cell, no, thankfully not. You know, you'll see some cups and stuff like that. I don't even see the cups. So these frames towards the outer edge are fairly empty. There's a little bit of nectar in them, but there's not brood, not a lot of pollen. But I'm telling you, within a week, this colony could be making swarm cells. We've got to get some more space. I want to use them to draw out this box of foundations right here. And if our flow cuts off here in 10 to 14 days and they've only partially drawn it out, then I'll feed them. And I'll just feed some thin syrup. 1-to-1 works great until this colony draws that box out. So it's very simple what we're going to do. We'll smoke these back down, get them out of the way, and scoot this forward. And there's a good bit of weight in there. One thing I want to point out as well is this colony looks great. This colony does not have enough food right now to go through our summer dearth. Our dearth lasts the end of June, July, August, and sometimes even further into September if it's a really dry year. So they don't have enough honey reserves. Why? Because they went from a little bitty split in April all the way to this, and they burned all their resources using it to draw wax, to feed new bees, drones, all of those things. A big colony could have 80 to 100 pounds of surplus or more this time of the year, but this colony does not. So what we're going to do is take this foundation right here, and I'm actually going to put it towards the edge. I don't want to split the brood up. There's a little bit of brood on this frame. I've already checked this one. This one is nectar. So I'm going to stick it right there. And even these out. And I checked this earlier right here. We had brood on all 5 of these frames, plus the frame that I have down here that I took out. And we had a little bit of nectar over in here, and these were mostly dry. I think this colony would have been swarming in a week though. And now we're just going to take this box right here, put it on, and we are going to throw this frame that's mostly larvae and eggs down in there. This will force them to come up and warm that up. You wouldn't want to do this during a time of the year when it was getting highs in the 40s or anything like that. But it's 90 degrees today. We ain't getting any 40s. So we wish we were getting some 40s. That'll help them come on up. And if the flow cuts out, we'll either put a frame feeder over in here, or we can put a bucket feeder on top and just feed, feed, feed. While the colony is strong and big, use those bees to draw out some new wax. As new beekeepers, you don't have a lot of comb. That makes it difficult to control swarming. It makes it harder to expand and grow splits. So whenever you can get more comb, do it. So this is a simple way of doing that. It's okay to let them draw 3 deep boxes out. And when this is drawn out, or mostly drawn out, pull yourself a split off of here. I'm going to split this colony. Let's see, it's the first day of June. We'll probably let them work on this box for 3 weeks. If I feed them good with a little bit of the honey flow, I bet they'll have this mostly drawn out. We'll cut this brood area in half down to here, split the resources down the middle, put a new queen in the side that doesn't have a queen, leave this in this location, and then keep feeding them until they finish drawing the box out and have at least 30 pounds to go through our summer dearth minimum. And that way they won't feel any significant stress, and they ought to look really good in the fall. So there's just a couple tips right there, nothing crazy, but where beekeepers usually make the most mistakes is in not having enough feed for their colonies, not controlling the mites, or not having enough comb to control swarming. Thanks for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one.